Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Road to Change live stream for StreetCones. It's good to have you. As always, stay in touch with us tonight. It's interactive, so via the Facebook page, wherever you're watching, whether it's Vimeo, YouTube, or Facebook. You can try Twitter as well. We haven't quite nailed Twitter tonight, but try it. But otherwise, the YouTube or the Facebook is great for sending comments or any questions that you've got for Brendan or me. So yeah, these Road to Change live streams are part of the Road to Change workshops that we run now online with local authorities all over Scotland. So we produced a community payback order film last year, and then in the midst of COVID, we found ourselves unable to keep delivering the in-person workshops that we were used to in prisons with young offenders, etc. So we moved online. And so these Road to Change online workshops are 2-hour workshops that run once or twice a week with people on community payback orders. And as a part of that service, we have these live streams that people can either tune into live or catch up in their own time. And so we have guests on with lived experience of the criminal justice system, who have had their own road to change moment or are still on their road to change. As we say, the road to change is always under construction. And so tonight we have got a really great guest, somebody I've had the pleasure of getting to know, and who is actually taking part in one of the other films that we're producing at the moment, and that's Brendan Bonar from BFit Glasgow, up in the East End. So Brendan, how you doing? Welcome.
Oh, good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's good to have you. So Brendan, like before we get into your history and your story, we usually start our Road to Change workshops that we run. They're fun, they're easy, they're stress-free, they're designed to get the kind of creative juices flowing. So we've got a fun thing to start with that I got told off for not finishing the last live stream. We usually start with a little riddle, and we don't have to solve it now. And for all you people who are watching, you don't have to solve it now, but at the end of this live stream, we're going to discuss it and hopefully have an answer. And the idea with these is that it makes the back of the brain work, which is where all the great stuff and the creative juices flow. And this particular riddle that I'm just about to give you came to me 3 days after I first heard it when I was brushing my teeth. So this is the riddle, Brendan, and for everyone watching at home. Misha and Marjorie were born at the same time in the same hospital to the same mother and father, but they are not twins. How is that possible? Okay, so Misha and Marjorie were born at the same time, same parents, same year, same hospital, but they're not twins. How is that possible? Have you got any ideas, Brendan? Anything? Any suggestions?
IVF?
IVF? Well, no, if it was IVF, they'd still be twins. So let that one percolate in the background. And also, before we get into the really the good stuff and your story, what's your favourite takeaway food?
Italian.
Italian.
Carbonara. Can't go wrong with carbonara.
Very nice. You get sent to a desert island. You can take one item, one book, one film, and one person, alive or from history, with you. What are they? So an item, a book, a person, and a film.
It would have to be, one of my favourites is Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. Recommend that over 100 times. I've read it over 100 times. Really good book. Good for the
Mindset.
Yeah, Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck. She's just in the last couple of years she's put a new one, a re-updated one, so it's quite good.
Oh, I've just made a note of that. I'll check it out.
Film, In a Pursuit of Happiness, because we're always in some sort of pursuit of happiness. That was actually my first DVD I ever bought. And yeah, I love that. I love that one.
Will Smith.
Famous person. If it was a famous person, dead or alive. I'm not sure actually. Favourite person currently is my wife. She's a wee support.
Oh, you're going straight to the top of the class tonight, Brendan. Hey, you know, just now going, oh, sweetheart.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Brownie points. Item on a desert island. A football.
Football. Good. Did we miss it out? It was a film, it was a book, a person, brilliant. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
Superpower. Mind read.
To mind read. Wow. How would you use that? I mean, obviously you'd use it to read minds, but what would your first kind of go to? What, when you think of that superpower, like, how do you think of using it?
Nobody's fully open. Everybody's got a front.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas they just tell you what it is. They don't tell you the actual true full story behind it. They just tell you a wee snippet of it. So if you could use it for good causes, obviously, yeah, use it in a positive note.
Yeah. Mine would be, I always fluctuate. Mine's either flying or invisibility. I can fluctuate. Sometimes I just think, oh, if I could fly right now, especially during lockdown, imagine being, I don't know how many rules I'd be breaking. I'd be taken down by a foreign power probably. But the idea of just going, do you know what? Put my thermal coat on, flying over to the Bahamas or something would be amazing. And then if I had invisibility, I always think the first place I would go is like MI5 or something, you know, the big MI6 building in London. I'd love to just go in there and walk around the corridors.
What, just hear all the gossip?
Yeah,
hear
I'm sure there's an algorithm that's just heard me say I'd like to snoop around MI6 and they're watching right now. Oh, well, welcome MI6. If you're watching this, come on in. We're going to be chatting about lots of fun things. I'm sure you'll be interested in. So, Brendan, tell us your kind of story, if you like, your kind of potted history and how you got onto this road to change that you're on now.
So, I was basically a young postal boy, just being a young lad, getting out of trouble because it was standard, it was normal to be getting into trouble and just set fires to bins and just do stupid shit. And then over as I got a wee bit older, I started getting into the violent side of things, and I wasn't like into gangs, but I was thinking about in gangs, if that made sense. And then as I got older again, well, it was actually through school. I went through a wee stage where I was getting bullied, and it's not an excuse to become the kind of person I became, but it was kind of one of the people. I was one of the persons like, right, this is never going to happen to me. I'm going to start sticking up for myself. By the age of 18, I was already getting picked up on weekends after the police for being drunk and disorderly and fighting in the street. And that was it. When I was 18, I was attacked and I ended up being hospitalised with 6 stab wounds, twice in the spine, side of the lungs, side of my chest, one in the stomach, and my hip. And ever since that day, I completely turned into a right different person. I turned into a more violent person. That rather than talking things through, I would just start throwing fists and then think about it later. As I got older, to about 20, when I had my first kid at 21, 22, I started calming down a wee bit. And then a good few years ago, I ended up in a fight which resulted in me in prison. And ever since then, that was kind of it. That was a change. That was once I'm out here, setting life straight. There's no point in fighting all the time because once it's going to result me back in here, now I've got previous, and it's a serious one, it's going to be easier for me to be locked back up, and I can't put my family through that. So my young kids also, that was horrible for them to see that kind of situation. So I don't want to do that again. So that's kind of like a short and sharp. As I became older, I became more violent. But then as my kid was born, and then one stupid night just turned into an absolute nightmare. So,
what do you think drove a lot of the young people that I've worked with over the years, young offenders? it kind of breaks my heart that a lot of them feel that a stretch in Pullman is inevitable. Like it's just part of some of them can consider like it's just part of school for them. They just feel that I remember one boy in this, we were coming back from a residential trip once and he was chatting to him and he was like, I was saying, what do you think you'd like to do? He said, I'd probably like to be a joiner, work with my hands and do like cabinet building, joinery and what have you. But after I've been to Pullman. And I thought he was joking. I remember kind of trying to peer into his eyes and just see if he was, and he was like deadly serious. He just assumed, that was part of his trajectory, a stint in Pullman. So were your offending behaviour when you were younger and the violence, do you feel maybe because of the way where you were brought up, like the geographic area, or the way that you were brought up, that it was kind of inevitable? Or do you think it was more accidental that you fell into that? What?
I think especially the regional area, the area that I was brought up, there was a lot of gang fighting, and you couldn't go into particular areas because where you were from. But then we moved into a particular area that I shouldn't be there really. So it kind of escalated from that. So it was inevitable that I would end up in a fight. If it wasn't every weekend, it'd be every other day. And then it would progressively get worse as I got older. And I think with that, I just assumed that it was an everyday thing just to fight with people. And it was stressful because then over time, especially between 16 and 18, over time, I was trying to wag myself through, rather than going through this particular area, I would go the long route. And then sometimes that wouldn't work out because they would go that way, and then you end up in a wee fight. But yeah, it was just like, I think it was because of that kind of time and all. It was normal for people to walk with a knife, and it was normal for people to get slashed and stabbed and things like that. It was just a normal thing. Like when you're brought up in that, it was just an everyday thing. When somebody gets slashed, he gets slashed, right? Okay, that's fine. Right? Or he gets stabbed, who done that? It was just an everyday thing.
What advice would you give to young people who are in that cycle and think that violence is it's such a daily occurrence, it's just part of daily life, that stopping it, stepping aside from it and choosing not to engage in it seems like just fantasy talk? You could say that to one of them and they'd be like, yeah, well, you don't live where I live. How would you, what would you say to someone like that, to kind of steer them away from it? What would you have said to yourself if you were able to go back and talk to yourself about that time?
If I was going back to myself, I would say it's easier to walk away, and nobody wants to be known as a runaway. Nobody wants to run away from a fight because then you get picked on, you become a bully victim. So it's hard to try and say, don't do it, but you kind of need to stick up for yourself. So you can pick and choose your battles. Like you can't walk away from a fight. If you know that a particular person stays in a particular area, or a gang of people stay in a particular area or a street, and you know that you can walk around that way, then walk around that way. But if you can't, then it's a wee bit harder to do so. But you kind of need to, it's a hard one because you can't just say, no, don't do it, because you don't know exactly what their kind of mindset is on that. Like they might see stabbings and there's a lot more shooting and stuff like that going on and all. So that's a normal thing where it's happening, and it's happening more and more often. So kind of like you can pick and choose. Do you need to fight with absolutely everybody? Because I thought I had to fight with absolutely everybody, so nobody would touch me. But then when you're fighting so often, and then somebody looks at you the wrong way, you end up saying what you saying, well, what you doing, and then before you know it, you didn't need to engage in that. The guy just looked at you or growled at you, but that doesn't mean you need to go and fight. So it's kind of pick and choose your battles, basically. Yeah.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Is getting, as you grow, as these young people grow, is developing that spidey sense, if you like, for what to engage in and what to walk away from. And I suppose as your character develops, as yours obviously did, you got to a stage eventually where you realised that responding in that way, there was no cheese down that tunnel. There was no fruit at the end of that one. You had to go. You were able to have had enough experience to go, I could engage with this right now, or my history tells me that I can engage in this violence, but I know where it's going to end up, so I'm making a different choice, which is a probably the hardest thing to do, to suppress that because it's probably triggered, especially if you've been doing it through those formative young years. That's then in your nervous system. You know, it's not just a mental thing that you're trying to overcome. It's neurological. You know, it's in your nervous system as a trigger response. So I suppose part of it is just maturity, isn't it?
Yeah, over time, especially, and you can't. Everybody's got a different household they came from, and a different region, an area they came from, and it's normal for this to happen and that to happen. So it's a mindset thing. It's like try to suppress it back down, because it is that fight or flight situation where do I just run away or do I actually fight it? But the outcome could be a lot worse. And like just throwing a punch can hit somebody, they fall, they bang the head off the curb, then that's it. That should get 5 years plus, depending on the situation. Whereas if you just walked away from it and it was all because a guy growled at you, then there was no need to engage.
Yeah, the prisons, and I've been working in places like Shots for the last 5-6 years, and worked with loads of guys who that's their story. You know, they made a bad decision in the heat of the moment. Somebody looked at them, growled at them, said the wrong thing, and one punch went astray, and they seriously hurt someone, you know, or worse. So it's that, I suppose, is you'd want to say that to a young person. Just keep that in mind, that for you it might feel like one punch, but it could be the rest of your life. You know, that's it. It's definitely.
So many people.
Sorry, Brendan, I interrupted you.
Sorry. Some of these people can end up in wheelchairs, which is a life-changing situation on both parties, all because of an altercation that could have been changed by just walking away from each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So listen, this is one of my kind of standard questions to guests now. What's your earliest memory?
Earliest memory of, in particular?
Anything, like, what's your earliest memory? It's a fascinating question, like, to think about. Like, my earliest memory is, I remember although I grew up in the north coast of Scotland in a place called Thurso, I was born in Edinburgh. But I left when I was about 3, and we were living in a tenement in Dundee Street in Toll Cross in Edinburgh. And I remember, this is the first thing I remember, having a little toy plastic car or something, or was it a wooden car? But I was out on the landing, cold stone floor, bare feet, you know, padding along on this wee toy car. It's the first earliest memory I have.
I think the most earliest one, and I don't know if it's because I seen the photograph of it many years ago, but it does remind me of it. When we stayed on Coastburn Street, my mum and dad decorated my bedroom in Disney characters. I don't know if they were wallpapered on or painted on, but it was like all these different characters. And I remember having all my Christmas toys, and I was just playing my Christmas toys. It was like wee toys and stuff like that, wee toy soldiers and cars and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because I've seen the picture, but I vaguely remember it, if that makes sense. So yeah, but I can't tell you the age I was. I was probably 4 or 5, something like that. I can't remember exactly. But yeah, that was.
I remember that as well. Like, I had coloured wallpaper with not Disney characters, but cars, like toy cars, different colours, yellows, blues, red, colourful wallpaper. I just remember that. So was there? You kind of touched on it, really. I think, you know, it was for you that the time when you made that fundamental change was when you were inside. But I just wondered if you could talk about your journey to that while you were inside, and what made that change where you went, that's it, and you drew a line clean underneath your kind of past. Like, what made that decision for you? What was it like?
So first when I was in the first night cell in Ballina, that was kind of like, what the actual hell is happening here? Like, that was the most distressing things I've ever seen. It's just absolute manky. Like, if you can think about it, you can probably visualise it on a wall. So sitting in that for the first night, was just absolutely terrifying. I actually slept in my clothes on. Like, I didn't know today. I was just That was a frightening moment. And then it was just a case of the guy opened the cell door and says, right, let's go, that's you, go to Moose Hall. And I didn't know, I thought that was me in that particular cell until I went to court. And like, no, this is your first night cell, this is just the morning. You knew you're going to Sea Hall. And I'm like, Sea Hall, what the hell's that? So Sea Hall was basically the remand hall. And then when I walked in there, it was just absolute bedlam. It was just frightening. Obviously, no seen that kind of sight. Like doing weekenders or doing a night in a police cell is completely different from going to prison. You think you can handle it, it's scary. So when I was in my second night in Sea Hall, we were locked up. I asked when we were getting out for breakfast, and the guy's like, "No, today, no, the no." I was like, "How it's rang?" He's going, "Nothing concerns you." He gave us this wee lunch pack, basically a sandwich, a bottle of juice. I can't remember if it was a bottle of juice or a bottle of water, and a sandwich and crisps, sorry, and a bar of chocolate, wee thing. And I was like, "He's like, that's your lunch." Because you're sitting in a cell, you've nothing to do, so you just eat. There's nothing else to do, and you've got a telly, but there's not so much TV you can watch. Like, I've not got the mindset for that to watch TV all the time. It's just not in me. So, finding out later on that day, a guy killed himself. He hung himself in his own cell, and that was me only the second day in Sea Hall. And I was just like, no, this isn't for me. This is a life. But it changed me for the good. It's like, it's the worst. Everybody's had a low point, and that was my low point, and then I just progressed from there, really. So yeah, that was kind of my off, man. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And knowing that the health benefits are working out, I just tend to just work out myself. And then when we were able to go to a gym, I was always put my name down the gym.
Mm. And what was, because I think when we were chatting before, a couple of weeks back, you were telling me about the time I don't know if that was the first week, but the time you were on the phone to your wife, or it was your family and your daughter, and the fact that was probably one of the toughest phone calls that you had. You want to talk about that? Because I imagine that played a part in your decision as well.
Yeah. So that was when I was. So when it was quite a laid back situation. So you could kind of. I landed on my feet, and not in a good way, but in a better way in the situation, if that makes sense. I went to a workers' hall, which means I was kind of working within the hall, so I kind of had that wee freedom. And from there, and this is when I was actually sentenced. So I went to B Hall. First thing that happened when I walked into B Hall is a guy shouted, "Welcome to the jungle." That's frightening when you're walking into a place that can hold 300 people and somebody's shouting that, and being a first-time offender and actually being sentenced to prison is absolutely terrifying. But yeah, so put up my hall, put up my cell, didn't know anything about anything. Asked his guard for some questions. He's like, "Oh, you're a newbie, I can't be annoyed with you." Slammed the door on me, basically. Eventually he came to me and says, "You can use the phone." And I was like, "All right." So phoned my girlfriend, who's now my wife. I was like, "By the way, man, I don't even know what I'm doing here." So I had my head down. I always remember I had my head down, and I'm talking dead low, but people are shouting, and there's just it was noisy, and it's echoey, I know. So I was talking away, and she's like, "Right, everything, you'll be all right, you'll be all right." And I could feel myself, and I'm not much of a crier, and I know the health benefits of it, but I simply can't do it. And so I could feel myself bubbling up, and I'm going, "Right, this is going to happen right in front of all these guys that I don't even know." And then she's like, "Oh, Timmy's what I talk to, the Ian's what I talk to." I'm like, "No." See, as soon as she started speaking, that was me. I absolutely just felt to pieces. I was like, I need to go. As I wasn't walking, I was kind of rushing towards myself because I was bubbling. I had my head down, and a guy busted out laughing and shouting, "He's greeting." So as soon as I went in my cell, I just broke down in tears. You're in your cell yourself, so there's nothing. You don't want to watch telly. You can't go anywhere. You can't get fresh air to breathe. So yeah. So from there, because it was my first offence, no previous being in prison, I kind of landed on my feet and went to another hall of workers for, as I says. So it was kind of like you could use the phone whenever you wanted. which was quite good. But you don't want to keep phoning people through the day going, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing? So you kind of had to, but it's over time, it just became second nature. Just go, yeah, I'll phone you about 12 o'clock tomorrow, is that all right? So it was just like, you know, but aye, that was not the nicest feeling, to be honest.
How do you manage that? Like, part of one of the topics that come up in these live streams and these chats is, you know, men's mental health and men not talking, and in fact that's one of my other kind of passion projects, really, is getting men to speak, because we're brought up as to not speak, you know, purposefully and deliberately encouraged not to communicate in that way or to reflect inwardly at all. You know, it's just like, shut up, get on with it, you know. And it dates all the way back to kind of the industrial age, you know, where we had to be either out in fields ploughing and, you know, raising crops, or we had to be in factories working, you know, producing munitions and what have you, because, you know, that in that time there was no time to reflect, you know. But now, where we are, and we know what the male suicide rate, and we know what the kind of state of people's mental health, but for the purposes of this chat, men's mental health, like, how is your mental health affected in a prison environment where the most natural thing in the world is to have a conversation with the people you love, your wife, your daughter, and then for very natural, human, justifiable emotions to arise, and then for you to have to both shut that down, press it down, not show it, and then when it does rear itself, you get ridiculed for it, you know, or humiliated for it. Like, what do you think that does? What did it do to you, and what did you see it do to other people in the jail?
So, with myself personally, I'm quite an opening. I like to talk to anybody. I'll talk to absolutely anybody. Just because we need
Well,
to
you're
open
talking
up.
to me, so that proves it.
So I'll generally talk to anybody, and I'll always have a conversation, because I like to listen. Because a lot of people like to talk, but nobody likes to listen. Nobody likes to understand. So when I'm talking to these people in there, they're chin-wagging away, and then as soon as you go like that, so what did you do outside and that? Like, knowing they tell, but just like, so how's life out there, or whatever like that. They just shut down and they didn't want to speak. Or they would say about how their visit went, and you go, all right, cool, that's brilliant. How you feeling about that? And I'm just an open person, so I would, when if somebody, and nobody asked me that, how did that go? When I say that, and I got close to quite a few guys, and they kind of understood the way my kind of mindset was, they would sort of go, I loved it, man, but I'm fed up with this. I'm done with it. I can't be annoyed with it anymore. Which was a good thing, because it's just a slow process, especially as guys. We always try and suppress our thoughts, our feelings, sorry. So that's how sometimes it comes out the wrong way, or we tend to shout a lot, or be violent to people or to things. So, yeah, the men's mental health side of things, it's good that there's more charities out there that are absolutely helping guys open up more, and it's good that these charities are, like, they're expanding. The 5 guys started this, and now there's over 200 people in it, so, which is amazing. And all the guys love it. All these guys like to talk about their feelings, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction, because, like, I was having this chat with someone the other day that even the phrase mental health, I never heard that phrase when I was growing up. As far did it exist? Did the phrase mental health exist when I was a kid? I don't remember it. You know, all I remember was similar to your experience in jail. If you did show any emotion, you were ridiculed. You know, you were humiliated, and how that manifests then is, like, I don't know, and a hell of a lot of upset and trauma and worse, you know. And I should just say at this point, because it's just something that occurred to me, that we need to, these live streams are about us, you know, men talking about mental health, but we are not mental health professionals. So for people who are watching, like, we don't want to step over any bounds and say anything we're not meant to say. We're not we're talking about our lived experience in a healthy way, but we're not mental health professionals. So just, I suppose, bear that in mind. And if you do have a mental health issue and are suicidal, I really encourage you to start with the Samaritans. That's certainly a place I went to when I was in one of my darker periods. But there are charities. I mean, get in touch with StreetCones and we can help point you in the right direction. But it's important that these kind of chats happen. But yeah, so that experience in jail of having to push that down, did you see how that affected other people? Were you able to kind of think of how, you know, sometimes we see things clearer in our fellow human beings, like we see how the repression or suppression of something manifests itself in other people. How do you feel people generally handled it in jail?
When I was there, a lot of people joked about, I think, a lot of things, but some of the jokes you could have took very personal. But a lot of people tend to do these type of things, just joke through life, and just so people, nobody thinks about, or he's joking about something, but let's talk about it, because everybody just has a laugh, and they try to keep their emotions at bay by laughing at everything, making a joke at absolutely everything. So I tend to see that a lot of joking. You get the odd altercation from a joke, but yeah, a lot of guys just tend to just have a laugh or go to their work. But when they were at work, they were just, I don't know when they were doing it their jobs, but I'm going to assume they were just laughing and joking and all. Just try to keep that anger at bay at least, and keep the emotions at bay. Because I've seen guys cry on the phone to whoever they were on the phone to, or cry after a visit. After seeing your kids and that, it is hard to try and keep that emotion down. So yeah, it was a bit mixed bag, but mostly everybody had a joke. Everybody had something to say, and it was funny. But nobody would be open and honest or have a serious conversation, which is annoying, because you want to have a serious conversation. No everything's a laugh. You want to have a, well, how are you going to progress, and how? And I would tend to talk about, know myself in that kind of way, but I would go, when I go here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And they're like, aye, no bother. Like nobody, so you can set stones, if that makes sense. Set examples.
Yeah, I mean, humour is an important part, but I've witnessed that as well, where it's a coverall, you know, it's a plaster. Let's just make a joke about it, because to talk about it or reflect on it or explore it in any kind of real, meaningful way would, I suppose, be really, really difficult for people, you know. But I suppose the good thing is we're moving in the right direction. I think we've got a long way to go, but we're definitely moving in the right direction now, you know. Even the fact that you and I are sitting here talking about this is evidence of that. So to go to the other end of the scale, I like to ask a question like, when were you happiest, and what's your relationship to happiness? How do you define happiness now?
See how long as I'm moving, see how long as I'm, like, see right now, I'm playing with a kid toy. I can't stop. That's why I keep touching my face, moving my glasses, that's my thing. See how long as I'm moving or doing something, that's when I'm at my happiest. If I'm doing something to progress in my life that will progress my family's life, then that's the sweet spot. That is the absolute. Like when we book a wee holiday just to Inverness, like, I'm a workaholic and I need to get told that I'm going on holiday, and my family will vouch for that. I'll kick and I'll complain because in my eyes I'm not doing nothing for that week. But you need to think of the mindset of it. Like, the body needs that relaxation. It can't work at full capacity all the time. So a week off isn't a bad thing. I know that, but I'm a workaholic, so that's probably when I'm happiest.
So there you are, self-soothing there with a little toy. and like you're on the move all the time, you're working out because it's the nature of your business, which I want to talk about as well. But like, how do you? I mean, what do you do now to chill? Like, where's the release valve to just switch off?
So I like walking. So I'll do like a 30-minute walk and I'll listen to podcasts or Audible on mindset, business, anything that's related to me and what I do, I'll do it. And on a good point, in a good part, I was listening to an Audible by the Mindset Mentor, and he says that our brain can take in. So if we speed something up by 2, our brain is still able to consume it. So see, as long as we're moving, the brain still consumes small parts. So I go a fast-paced walk, listen to that 2 times fast, and then just consume as much as I possibly can. Either that or every so often I'll go on the Xbox. I don't always, but it's just a half an hour. That's when I know I need just to. I don't know if you notice it. I'm tight. I know I'm tight. And then with that, I'll have cold water showers. So freezing cold showers, near enough every night. I'll try and squeeze one of them in. They're absolutely amazing. What a sleep you get. It's absolutely fantastic. Because I could sleep easily 4 hours, wake up fresh as a daisy, and I'll go, see if I go on a walk with the new, I can do that. And if I do that, I can do that. And then that's the ball rolling. And I'm like, no, you can't do that. It's 4 in the fucking morning.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be people there that are hearing you going, so what I do to switch off and chill out is go for a walk, fast-paced, put on a book that's not, that's related to my work. It's about development. So even your chill out time is like, it's for some people who would go, Jesus Christ,
I do. I honestly do try. It's just it's hard to switch off, and I've always been like that. When I done my HNC in business, a few of my lecturers like you're too, and it was brilliant because I was always late back from the gym, so I'll be running in my Tupperware, sitting down going sorry, and then just eating away, and they're going right, Brendan, you can't eat in class. And I'm like, I'm starving. I just trained her, but and even at the point they're like, an office job isn't for you. Like you're too hyper for that. So between that and that. I've a wee program called Gold Rush. If that's the new ones that are on, I'll probably sit into that. And if it's a weekend, I like a wee bowl of beer, so that's another one. So it's not always 100%.
Do you watch anything? Are you a watcher? Do you watch anything on Netflix or Prime, or
Well, on Netflix, and it's a weird one, my plan is to watch every episode of Top Gear.
From the start,
the beginning. So now I'm on 2019, but sometimes I'll switch it off halfway through and go, right, I need a message in there, and then that's like work related. Or if I get an idea that pops into my head, I'll go, I'll write this down now. I'll type this in. So I'm always, I do try, and the missus sees it. I do try, but it's really hard for me. It is really hard, and I'm always on the go, and I use my hands a lot, and always. So yeah.
So let's talk a wee bit about BFit Glasgow and how you went about starting that, and because you did was it HND, HNC as well, and so talk about your kind of history with the fitness and stuff.
So I actually went in college today. I left school with 4 foundations, so I left with basically nothing. I went right into a car wash job. Stayed there for 2 years. When I was 16, I got a job in Poundland, and that was like the job for life. And once that attack happened when I was 18, I was kind of went off the rails and stuff like that, just in a downward spiral for a couple of years. Then eventually one day I woke up and gone, I want to own my own business. I want to do something in my life. I need to do something. So I eventually go an interview for an NQ on business. Done that. Done 6 months of the course, stepped away from it through past relationships. Good. Then a year later, went back, finished the rest of the course. So it took me 2 years to do a 1 year course, which is just no one for the CV. And then done that, went into HNC business, realised that it wasn't for me because I'm too hyper, I'm just too always on the go. and I can't sit at a desk. I can do it for a small period of time, but then my brain just goes, what are you doing? And just wants to go and do something else. So halfway through doing my HNC, I was just like to my lecturers, this is not really for me. And a couple of lecturers going, Brendan, you're too hyper, you're always on the go, you're always late from coming back from the gym. How do you not go into health, fitness and exercise, which was downstairs in the college? So I was like, could you talk to the person in charge of this and we can see what we can do? Went for the interview later that year, was accepted, done my HNC, passed that, done my HND, passed that. While in my HND halfway through, I started BFit Training just because a part of the course was build your own business as a part of the coursework. So while some of my friends were away doing their thing during lunchtime, I was sitting doing and absolutely building my business. So I knew when I was walking out that I had a business to walk into. So then I started that. BFit Training, I thought if I had a website and just put a couple of flyers out, oh, I'll be making the money. Everybody will be running to me. Doesn't work like that. Found out the hard way. And then, just slowly built on that. Done wee courses here, wee extra courses here. Then when I went to prison, there was not much you could do in there. Go to the gym, watch TV. It's crap. There's literally nothing. The boredom kills. That's how people do stupid things in there. So found out you can get books in. So I started reading books. I think within that year I read about around 40 books on business, mindset, nutrition, just health related stuff, because I knew I had a business to walk out to, but I basically had to start all over again. So I knew exactly what I wanted to do and how I'm going to get there, and it was just a slow, painful journey. But now business is absolutely doing fantastic. COVID was one of the, everybody was affected one way or another. So, but from COVID, and because there was nothing else to do, I done the same again, done courses, read books, and it's actually been a blessing in disguise, because now I'm a lot better at my job, especially in the mindset of things, and it's good for me to talk about it. And with my clients, I'm quite open and honest with them, and I'll give them my view on it. Obviously, I can't say you must do it this way. I have to say this book that I'll recommend to you, that mindset one. Have a read it. That's a really good book. It helped me in the past. I'm pretty sure it'll help you. So I know a bit about it. I'm just not a professional on it. So I know the ways, and especially how to talk to people. It's quite good, and their clients seem to love it.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody who, in fact, this would have been me. That's why I know how to ask this question. But at the moment, I'm doing well. I'm gym 3 times a week. I'm back measuring my calorie intake. I'm doing my shakes, kale and spinach and banana and all that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to avoid the stuff that I love, like biscuits. I can go through a packet. I can inhale a packet of biscuits and fig rolls, and without looking, just like boom, where did they go? In my gut, that's where they went. So what do you say to someone who knows that they need to take action, but they're struggling and they're procrastinating?
We always procrastinate regardless who you are. I procrastinate. We're only human. The body only wants the easiest route. Like, when was the last time you sat in a chair prim and proper? It just doesn't work like that. I'm leaning forward like this, but the body only wants the easiest route, just so that you're not burning too many calories. If you told the body that you could eat as many fig rolls as you want and still watch a bit of telly, but you don't need to work for it, guaranteed everybody will just go, all right, and I'll just do that. But the procrastination side is always the factor with most people. It's that fear of unknown. It's you don't, and a lot of people in that, they feel like they're going to fail before they've even tried. So they tend to go, nah, and then they always want when the time is right. Like, see, the best one I got was, see, if I lose a stone, I'm going to join BFit Training. And I'm going, but if you can lose a stone without BFit Training, then you don't need BFit Training. Yeah. So everybody has to have that mindset where they go, I need to do all these actions first before that kicks off. But see, if you just, it's because they think that they're going to fail. So if I don't feel like that, and I don't feel like that, I don't feel like that, then I'll be all right to do that. But if you step to your comfort zone rather than going A to Z, no, sorry, A to C, the long way. Whereas if you just step to your comfort zone and went A, B to C, a lot quicker and a lot easier. And it's good to have someone in the background just being your cheerleader, basically.
Oh,
like I'll text
totally.
my clients. If I've not heard from my clients in a week or so, I'll text them, make sure they're all right. Because that's just the person I'm at. But I'll make sure everybody's all right before I'm all right. Like I work bank holiday, and I don't cancel, very rarely cancel on anybody. But yeah, a lot of people procrastinate because of the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. I find that's definitely, like, being accountable to someone else is what motivates me. So I can have the amount of gym memberships I've had in my life that have just been money down the drain. Whereas if you spend it with a coach or you join like programs that you run, so I'm doing one now with Glasgow Man Club, or it used to be Glasgow Fitness Academy. But I started with him a year and a half ago, maybe. And then obviously COVID kicked in, and that's when I started putting on my weight again and just like taking my eye off the ball. So I'm back again 3 times a week. But I could go to the gym myself and do that, but I won't, But because I've booked sessions with him and there's a bunch of other guys, we're all in at the same time, and I'm now accountable to them. So if I don't turn up, even if I turn up late, they're like, oh, it's like, ah. And so I'm even pressured to get there at 6 o'clock in the morning instead of 6:05, So that I do find sometimes we're going to do more. We'll leverage our own motivation more by having other people that we're accountable to.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And a lot of my clients are saying that. Like, we use a booking system. So if someone books in, I'll turn up. If no one books in, what I tend to do is late at night, I'll check the booking system for the next day, and I'll go, oh, I'm not starting at 9:30, I'm starting at 12:30. That's quite good. What I'll do is this, that, and that. Whereas I could look in and I've went, oh, right, I've got 5 here, I've got 1 there, 2 there, 6 there. So it could be all over the place depending on the day. But it's being accountable, because you know you need to book in for it. You will turn up, which is a good thing, because nobody wants to go like, oh, you're late again, man. So it's being accountable, and you don't want to walk in late going, hi guys, it's so yeah. With that, it's a feel good factor and all, because you don't. Who wants to go up at 5 in the morning and train? Very rarely a lot of people. But see, because you know that you have to do it, and then the feel good factor because you've done it, it makes you want to kind of do it again. That's why when people after the train they go, oh, I want to go again, because they've got that endorphin, they've got that feel good factor. But then they've gone, I need to go and pick up the reins to school, or take the reins to school, or whatnot. So it's obviously by the time you go on that third day and you're going back to train, it's like try to kick your own arse to get to it.
Yeah. I find like someone said the other day, do you enjoy going to the gym? I was like, well, of course I don't enjoy going to the gym. Like, I'm not at the gym going, yeah, I'm loving this. When I'm like, especially what's my thing that I hate, like the battle ropes. Those battle ropes. 30 seconds of them. It just kills me. I'm like, this is not enjoyable. But you get the benefit afterwards. Afterwards, you feel good that you did it. You don't enjoy it at the time, but it's one of those. You have to kind of project into the future a wee bit and go, look, I am going to enjoy this and I'm going to feel the benefit of it, but not right now.
Definitely. On that, like, a lot of people tend to, when they've been training, they'll go, I can't do it. And I always use, and it's through that book, mindset one. So if you use the word yet after it, then you're more likely going to push yourself. So if I hear one of my clients saying, I can't do it, I'm going, you can't yet. And I drum that into their head. You can't yet, you can't yet, you can't yet. Because eventually you're going to be able to do it. It's like people say they can't do a burpee, but then they've just done 5 burpees. So you can do it. It's just the mindset of not. Do you get what I mean? People say they can't drive always, but they can drive in a regular street. Just a motorway, you need to just drive a wee bit quicker and think a wee bit quicker. So it's just trying to manipulate your own mindset And I like how we can do that to ourselves. Like how we can, if you tell your body it's heavy, it's going to be heavy. But if you tell yourself it's light, then it's going to be light or lighter. So that's where I kind of train that kind of style.
So are there some simple, so to anyone watching tonight, and to me, maybe 6 months ago, is there like a gentle way that you could say to someone, look, try this, couple of wee simple exercises or a couple of techniques to walk past the chocolate biscuits, you know, and just go and choose something healthier. Just a wee few exercises or methods.
So if it's coming to foods, the way I've got in my kitchen, it says, is this working towards your goal? So regardless what it is it working towards a goal? Now, we can't feel guilty for eating the chocolate biscuits or the figs or getting a Chinese or having a drink. We shouldn't feel guilty for doing that, because we're eventually having an emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? We eventually start hating ourselves because we've ate something. We're allowed to eat these things. Just program yourself into it. Do I really need that? No, really. I'm a calorie deficit by 500 calories, and I can get a Chinese a night. Yes. So you can work with it. I tend to have a bit of alcohol at the weekend because I do something called calorie borrowing. So I'll be in a calorie deficit throughout the week. So say, for instance, I'm taking 500 off Monday to Friday. I get 2,500 calories to play with on Saturday, which means I can have a couple more and I can have a takeaway because I get that surplus to play with.
Yeah.
Back to the week on Monday.
Yeah. I don't want this to turn into a personal coaching session for me, but what is your daily calorie allowance?
It's depending on it. Or for me personally, or for me personally, 2,600.
Okay, good. That sounds about right. I think mine's is, I mean, I could check my Fitness Pal, but I think it's about 2,300. And that's what I'm trying to do just now, is make sure that every day when I complete the diary at the end of the day that I've got, no, my goal is 2,260 a day I'm allowed. And so, yeah, I'm trying to make sure there's at least a 500 calorie deficit there when I finish.
The reason why we have the 500 calorie deficit is because 1 pound within a week is 3,500 calories. So basically, in theory, you're trying to lose 1 pound of body fat per week. That's why we use that term, the 500. Just trying to keep body fat. So long as your muscle mass is going up and your body fat's going down, then you're grand.
Yeah. If you could wave, I always ask everyone this question, a magic wand, make one change to the world, what would it be?
Well, that's a weird answer. I don't really know. But the common land with like world peace and stuff like that, but I think that's been worked out even much in
it. Yeah. I mean it's a very valid one. I know it's a maybe a cliched one, but it's amazing that after all these years we haven't been able to solve that one.
I know. Yeah, I know. No, but everybody earn 100 grand a year. Then nobody can really say I'm better than you. Because then you need to save up more than 100 grand a year to be better than something. Everybody can be on a decent wage. Because
that's equality, basically, isn't it? That's what you're looking for. That's the change you're trying to make there. Equality for everybody.
Yeah. Because, you know, pure suicide rates through. There was a guy, I just read it on Daily Record. He was on the road for, don't quote me on this, 20 odd years. And he took his own life because he wasn't sure what was happening with his job. Now, if he earned 100 grand a year, then he wouldn't need to worry about money worries. So if everybody was on a money worry free, then we wouldn't be stressed about money. because majority of everything comes to is money. We can't do this, need money. We can't do that, need money. So yeah, if we were on a decent wage or a decent level of income, then I think everybody would be happier.
That's a good one. Yeah. A universal basic income that was sufficient enough that that nobody had to be homeless. You know, I suppose that's it. You know, so nobody was homeless. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the government.
Pretty sure what?
The government wouldn't like it.
Oh hell no, no. They need the their deficits.
Yeah.
Is there somebody, a person or somebody in your life who's made a huge difference to you and the way you live your life now? Teacher, family member, a boss, mentor, someone you'd like to?
I'm going to say both, because before I met Nikki, I was in a dark place. I was in a past relationship. It was an abusive one. I ended up making myself homeless. I walked out so many times, and I didn't want to burden my family with all my problems within that 6 years, because it was like, oh, here he is again. Only time we see you, we feel like the heart. And ever since I met Nikki, life has just been going up and up and up in the last 11 years. So yeah, she gave us beautiful kids. She pushed me. She knows to push me in the right direction, but she knows where to pull me back when I get. Because I would work literally. In fact, this is how hard a worker I can be. We just had our third child, Lucy Jo. I was at college full time doing my HND, health, fitness and exercise. I was working in the hydro about 3 times a week. I had a part-time job as a labourer, which I worked 1 or 2 days a week. And I was still at the gym at 6 in the morning. And I had, what was your third job again? I had an RV number in there somewhere. So I was working 3 jobs and college full time. And no wonder I had a mental breakdown.
Wow.
So I can work myself into the ground. So it's good that Nikki can kind of pull me back and go, we're going on holiday, you're working too much. And I kind of attitude.
That's good. You need that. That sounds like a balanced relationship. You know, you need that person there who's in your corner and seeing your blind spots, you know, and seeing where, you know, keeping you on the right track.
Yeah, definitely. I could work on the laptop all night, try to generate something. I love building businesses. I'm just weird that way. Just try to generate. The average millionaires get 7 sources of income, so how can I not do that?
Yeah. Well, that leads me very nicely, I suppose, to my next question. So if you could project forward 5, 10 years, where would you like to be? What do you see for yourself and your family?
So I just want to be financially free. But I want to say at one point in my life, I can just go, right, we don't need to save up for this holiday, or we don't need to save up for this car. Let's just buy it. So I just basically want to get to that point where I can don't need to worry about money. So yeah, 5 to 10 years, just being financial free.
But I suppose the question then, though, Brendan, is, so you're there, you are financially free. Are you going to take the foot off the gas? Are you going to keep, you know, that?
I don't think so.
Oh, there you go. So it's like, it's kind of, you know, I can see you now. The bank account's fine, your holiday's fine. If you need that card, you can get that card, but you're still on the phone, you're still at the gym and early in the morning, you're still going for your walks with Audible on, listening to ways that you can improve or start another business.
Yeah. I was like, I could probably win the lottery and I was still want to go to work. Yeah. It's just been programmed into me. My first job was when I was 12, working to Desco's Tiling Centre, cleaning the car park, and I made a £10 for a weekend's work, which was 4 hours. But I was 12, so I'd have been 2002, 2003, something from that region. So yeah, it's just programmed into me.
Yeah,
it's just I've always been like that.
You remind me of you're a Glasgow version of the kind of Japanese factory workers who have such a incredible work ethic. It's the reason, because I remember asking a Japanese friend of mine once, why do we see busloads of Japanese tourists all around the world? Doesn't matter where you are. Scotland, I've seen them in France, I've seen them in Indonesia when I was on holiday there. You see busloads of Japanese tourists. They always look lost. They've always got a camera and they're usually in couples, and they're kind of like just like being wheeled around to take a photograph. The reason that is because their work ethic is so ingrained that their boss usually either shuts down the factory and forces them, actually pays for the holiday, books them all on a holiday, like a huge package holiday. They're all in the same bus, the same flight, the same plane. They go on these tours and they don't know where the hell they are. They're just like, all we know is that we're on holiday. You know, that's basically, your wife is like the, Nikki's like the factory owner. She's just going to go, right, Brendan, we're going, there you go, you're off on holiday.
Yeah, pretty much. That's brilliant. That is good, man. That is amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the reason you see them. So listen, we're going to I've got some wee daft questions now, so we can kind of wrap up. This has been a really good chat. But I suppose in some ways I know the answer maybe to this, but what is the trait that you most deplore in yourself, that you most dislike in yourself?
I love it, Nick.
You love it and you hate it. It's you know, it gets you results. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's probably the worst thing. I've got a day. It's one of the best worst things I could do to myself.
Yeah. What's your most treasured possession?
I don't. My granddad gave me a fishing reel when I was a wee boy, and I've still got that. I never use it, but I've still got it.
All right.
Yeah, that still goes fishing with me. When I used to go fishing, enough. Been a while from that. Yeah, it's still in the fishing box and in the tackle box, but I've got new ones. But that's always there. That's always there.
Do you fish? Do you go fishing?
I've not been in years.
I can't imagine you. You'd be like, right, come on, you know, no, there's somebody needing trained. I've got a book to read. I'm off.
I would have took a book. If I go, I would have probably took a book, to be honest.
If you could bring something extinct back to life, what would you choose? That's a tough one. Something extinct back to life.
Oh, a bit of saber-tooth or something, wouldn't it?
Saber-tooth tiger.
Yeah. Have one of them. Anybody will do your shedding.
I mean, I think like I'd probably cause all kinds of trouble, but I was always fascinated with pterodactyls. You know, like flying dinosaurs. Like just the idea of these beasts darkening the skies as they fly over. I'm like, yeah, could I bring a pterodactyl back without causing mayhem?
Absolutely mental. That's a massive nest in your loft.
Yeah. Oh, he was. What's your favourite word? Have you got a word that's your favourite word?
That's fuck.
Fuck. The universal fuck. I know. I just had to today, and I coach football. I don't coach football. I don't, but I help the kids football at school. And there's a wee kid, and he's, I don't know, what is he, 7, 8 maybe, swearing away, and I'm just like, and I had to tell his mum, I'm like, this wee boy, I don't want to say his name, she might be watching, but the part of me knows that it's wrong, but the other part of me is just like laughing inside. It was just hilarious, but there's definitely whether it's a Scottish thing, I don't know, but our relationship to swearing is I think a very healthy one. It's
yeah, definitely.
What's your guiltiest pleasure?
Cookies.
Oh,
I'm like you'll be like with the fig rolls. I could eat a packet of them with a full mug of tea.
Biscuits and tea. I made a film years ago, and they put a line into the film that I spoke, because the character did like tea and biscuits, but and the line was, biscuits, they're good on their own, but once you dip them in tea, they become a whole different journey. And that's I would say that's like my philosophy. It's the philosophy of tea and biscuits. It's just like heaven. That's what I mean. I could demolish a packet and it didn't make McVitie's digestives, like in one cup of tea, boom, whole pack could be gone.
Stomachs like that.
It's just, they're too good. Who would you invite to your dream dinner party? Come dine with me. You've got. Who would you invite?
I really like a musician called Kid Cudi, American rapper, and yeah, I really like his songs, and I like his lyrics, and I like his flow. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Kid Cudi. Okay, I'm gonna check him out. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to check him out, check Kid Cudi, In the Pursuit of Happiness. That's a song.
Kid Cudi, Coodie.
So Cudi is Cudi.
Okay. Cool. Check that out, as well as Mindset. If you could go back, these are daft ones now. I like to just finish up upbeat. If you could go back in time, what time would you go back to?
What year was the Peaky Blinders? What year was that?
Well, that's there, because I've watched all 5 series of Peaky Blinders, or is it 6 now? But anyway, I've watched them all. That is the period after World War One. It's between World War One and World War Two.
So I'd like to go back to that. I think that looks class as. Imagine what about that all the time.
Yeah. Well, as long as you were in the Peaky Blinders and not
well,
on
the opposite end of it.
I'd probably go back to. I've got this soft spot for the 60s, man. I just like the music of the 60s. Hendrix, Dylan. I know they're moving up late 60s into the 70s, but Hendrix, Dylan, then into the Stones, Bowie, Janis Joplin, all that stuff. I love it. I love to be around then. And then into Pink Floyd, and I loved it all. If you could, if you could edit your past, what would you change?
Not really editing, because it's became the person I'm other now.
That's the right answer, really, isn't it? Like, I'm the same. I'm like, there's some things I regret, and there's some experiences I'll be like, wow, I don't think I'd feel too bad if I missed out on that. But all of those experiences and life events roll into this ball of wax that you've got in front of you, So they've all shaped who you are.
One came to mind there. I fell asleep at a party and somebody shaved my eyebrows and head, so that's taught me.
That same thing happened to me, man. Yeah, New Year, my mate, I don't know if he's watching, Jason. I was at Jason's house, and one eyebrow. And I was at drama school at the time, so your appearance is like really important. And I went back looking like it was not good. It was caused a lot of bother. And they had must have been so steaming that they wrote things in ink, permanent ink, all over my body, like for weeks afterwards. There was parts of my body I couldn't get to, and I'd be in the shower or whatever, and I'd look around and go, and I could just see something else that had been written. It was brutal. This is the last question, and then we'll kind of wrap up, and we'll go back to our riddle. What's the most important lesson that life has taught you?
Never give up on yourself, because people come and go. Never hold on to one person or a group of people. Always just continue on your own path rather than try to be part of somebody else's journey. That's how when I became self-employed, I couldn't go back to somebody else. I couldn't work for somebody else's dream.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a good one. But I was having that very chat with someone the other day, because I've been freelance my whole life, as an actor, director, producer, etc. I've started my own business, had my own restaurant, stuff like that for a while, and have had employees, and there's pros and cons to both. I mean, it definitely suits me. I've been freelance, I've never paid holidays, like friends who have proper jobs and they get paid holidays, and when they go on their holiday out of one of the 5 weeks, they are on holiday. They have nothing to think about. Whereas when you're freelancer, you've got your own business, you kind of never switch off. Even if Nikki's managed to get you up to Inverness for a week, you know, you telling me you're not just checking the old sneaky email and sending the odd like call or text and planting a seed, oh, I better meet that person. You know, it's so hard. You might be physically away, but to be totally switched off is like, but the flip side of that as well, because not everyone wants to have their own business or can or has the desire to. Some of my happiest times when I look back was when I was working for other people, when I was employed. You know, I remember working for a few different companies, and I turned up, I did my shift, and at the end of it, I walked away and I had a great time. I was able to just go there, do my work, walk away. So there's definitely pros and cons to both, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When I was working in Townland, being 16, 17, 18, but you just turn up for work, and then soon as you're finished work, you're like, right, I'll make you a drink. That was it. Like, the world's an oyster. So yeah, it was good fun.
Right. So before I wrap up with that, Riddle, we've got some of the questions that people have asked have been within the body of questions that I've put to you anyway. But there's some comments, and there's one here from Charlotte Louise. Well done, Brendan, on making a positive change in your life. I hope you're very proud of what you've achieved and continuing to achieve. So well done on that. So listen, Brendan, just thanks for coming on the podcast, you know, for the live stream. Thank you for being so open and so honest. These conversations are really important. These conversations for the people that most of these are watched on catch up, so not everyone's able to tune into the live stream, but the catch ups get a good follow, but they also get put into jails and stuff like that. So people that are in jails will get either the video version or even just the audio version, so they're able to hear your experience. So you know, it's just been brilliant, and we never know at what point somebody's going to hear something that you said and have a light bulb moment for themselves, you know, and make a change. So thanks so much. For anybody who's keen to work with Brendan or want to do some physical work, they can get in touch with BFit Glasgow, BFit Training Glasgow on Facebook. And your website, Brendan, is what?
www.bfittraining.co.uk, and it's just a letter B.
The letter B, bfittraining.co.uk. So yeah, all the contributors, audience, and everyone, thank you so much for staying tuned in. Back office, Todd, thank you so much as well. Follow Facebook, look at our back catalogue of films on the Roadworks tab of the StreetCones website. And then the last thing, so at the start of the podcast, I said this riddle. Misha and Marjorie are born at the same time, same mother and father, same year, same hospital, but they are not twins. How is that possible? You any closer, Brendan?
No, I'm lost for it.
So because I failed to wrap this up last time, I have to wrap it up now. Sometimes I think, well, we'll leave it and see what the comments are. We'll answer it on social media. Misha and Marjorie, born at the same time, same hospital, same parents, are not twins because they're triplets. Yeah, that came. I was brushing my teeth 3 days later after that first was put to me, and I was like, it's got to be something. It's got to be logical. And it was like the triplets or quadruplets, you know, they even like it makes sense.
I don't get that.
Yeah. Well, listen, our next live stream will be last Wednesday of June. I'll put up the date on social media very soon. But listen, Brendan, thank you so much. Good luck with the rest of BFit, and good luck just trying to have a day off, mate. Have a day off. That's what I feel like you've got to say to you. Take half a day. All right, all the best. Everyone who's watching, thanks for tuning in. Brendan, I'll catch up with you later.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
And there's some music just to see you out from Vox Luminous, our pals at Vox Luminous. So feel free to just listen to a couple of these tracks from our partners at Vox Luminous. All right. Cheers.
Okay. Thank you.